Hello, young man. Thank you so much for your response. I really appreciate it. Um, I took your response and I went back and I watched the other video and I combined them together, and they really helped me understand your position a lot better. And so I appreciate that second video especially. Um, I appreciate that you are willing to be of service to your community. That you're willing to not only help the general members of your HOA, but also the women specifically. Um, I am a woman living alone in a house, and it is the men in my community, my neighbors, who help me to feel safe in my community. I've lived here for many years, and we speak often, particularly in the summer, and I feel safe in my home more because of their presence. And they watch out for me. And kind of like your neighbors do with you, when I have my vegetable garden, I make sure I give them some of my fresh vegetables out of the garden. And when I barbecue, I also make sure that I take them some food too. I guess that's a theme kind of common with women, because they do really watch out for me, and I appreciate that. Should women in the community ally with the men in the community? Absolutely. Absolutely. And whether they are high value or not, I totally agree, because it is the men in my community that keep me safe. They are far better at watching the community than I am. They see things that I do not. And when we talk, they tell me what they see, and it shocks me sometimes. So I agree that women should try and ally with men in their community for their safety, whether they're high value or not. Now, for me, high value is a different issue. I have not seen high value in the way that I think of it on this app at all. I grew up in a time where I grew up in a neighborhood surrounded by men who were fathers, and my neighbors who had a very Southern upbringing. So that when we as children, when I was growing up on our street, walked the streets, played in the streets, did anything in our community, we all felt perfectly safe. And that was because of the men in our community, who I consider to be high value, protected us all. I grew up in inner city Detroit and felt perfectly safe because of that, because of the men in the community. So I totally understand the need for having men in your community that you can trust and depend on. Yeah, my view of high value is totally different. It has nothing to do with income, because I grew up in a low income neighborhood with men that I consider to be high value, because of their strength of character and the fact that they were all of our protectors, whether they were our fathers or not. All the men in our community served our community by being there for all of the women and the children in that community. So I think I understand your position a lot better. Should they ally? I think they should if they can. I think that part of the issue might be that they, unlike me, I've lived here over 20 years. I know my neighbors. I know my neighbors' children and some of their grandchildren, and they all look out for me, and I know who all of them are. Whereas younger women, probably not so much. But I think you make a very good point that yes, allying with our neighbors is a good idea if you can. My concern is that maybe they just cannot because they don't trust them or they don't know them. So, yeah, you make a very good point. And I thank you again for your response.